All right, welcome to the live stream. We're gonna just put the shining these bikes up, getting ready for a show that's coming up here soon. And I thought, well, I got the chat going, so you can say hello in the chat. If you're on YouTube, super chat helps support the channel. But what I'm going to do is just clean up these bikes, shine them up, get everything kind of ready, and I'll be checking the chat periodically. So if you wanted to ask some questions about things, otherwise I'm just going to kind of work away at it until I kind of get these shined up and cleaned up because they've been in storage for a little bit. So I'm going to get to work on that. And I got my helper cats going here, in here as well. So, and these aren't too dirty. They're just we're dusty. I kind of just need to wipe them down, put some more protectant back on them here, and like I said, I like them to look their best. Try to have them look their best whenever I take them out to show them. Use a little. Basically, it's kind of like a wipe-on, I guess, feed wax, you can say. That's what it's called, kind of a just on wax, dusting up and protects the paint. And we got some pressure in the chat. Welcome. Getting these ready. I guess I should tell everybody what I'm getting ready for. It's the 20th annual 1067 KDPI Rock and Roll Car Show. It's a pretty big. It is a very big car show. It draws a couple thousand cars, like something like 3,000, 3,500 cars usually, or different vehicles. It's at Bandimere Speedway, so it's all about. The big thing is people bring their cars out and do kind of just regular old heads up, kind of grudge runs or whatnot. I mean, they do some bracket style, but it's pretty much run your brung kind of thing. And lots of variations of cars and such, and there is motorcycles. More cars than motorcycles, always. But they usually get about 50 bikes or something. Every time I've shown, I usually get. I'm usually one with the oldest bikes there, but there's a company in town that was there last year and kind of got to know those guys, and they do kind of more like resto mods with bikes and vintage bikes, and I hope to see them there. They kind of do sort of the cafe racer type of thing, and they do some restorations as well on some old vintage, mostly vintage Japanese, but occasionally others. So I'll try and hoping to kind of chat with them a little bit because but in years past, I'm pretty much the only one that brings a vintage bike. But and I haven't brought bikes since 2014 or 2015. So kind of it's been a while. It's it's a chore to kind of go showing anything. I used to show my cars a lot back when I was in my teens and such. Well, of course, Skull Crusher in the chat knows all about that. Of course, there was a cruise night was always a big deal. I think it still is. I think it's still going pretty good. Um, Actually, is it going pretty? Is it still going pretty good? I guess you could kind of tell me. Uh, yeah, my folks went to it. Carney's cruise night is what I'm talking about. I know there's tons of cruise nights all over the country, but that's what I'm talking about. It's a pretty big for back there, kind of more rural area. Where we used to cruise night and then kind of hang out all night and most of the night, and then come back home the next day. Restored this back in 2010, and some of the rubber parts are a little bit extra shine here. Yeah, I'm not going to be on my seat. I can sit up there, but don't be doing that. Hopefully we get some other people in the chat. Yeah, coded it out there a little bit. If you go in here. Get the metal polish out some of the aluminum. Again, most people aren't looking at these bikes that closely, but I like to have them. I like to have them as perfect looking as possible. This one I try to keep in pretty much as showroom condition as the idea behind this one, and it was in pretty rough shape when the engine was seized. That was the big thing. Ugh. If I'll do the tire shine or not, I can't. Both of the helper cats out here. This one's kind of delicate because the fenders are aluminum and, well, very rare and hard to find. These are the originals. They can crack real easy, and actually that's why eventually Kawasaki went back to steel fenders, because they just one tip over and they basically broke. So they kind of only had these for 2 years. That's kind of the story with that. Fronts and such off the chrome, nice and shiny. show is this weekend. So trailer ready. I gotta get all my play stuff. Actually, get my signs down. Otherwise, I'm gonna put it out. Never close. What you're doing? Hey, is anybody else out there in the chat wondering? There you go. Hey, you don't like that. All right. Left 9 down here. Now this big show, participants, gates open at 7. The show starts at 9 and goes to like 5 o'clock. There's burnout contests. I think they got autocross. Well, of course, like a people's choice deal. Of course, with motorcycles like this, I'm not gonna ever win that, mostly because average goer doesn't know what they're looking at here, and I don't expect them to. It's not really that kind of show. Plus, crowd's kind of a, it's a kind of a heavy metal, call it, I don't know, call it street rod, but more of a modern muscle or like Japanese tuner kind of culture. So these are kind of an odd, me showing this stuff is kind of a little bit of a, I guess, an oddity maybe. Show like this. Lifted trucks, all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different. Kind of a different crowd, not specifically this. Did I miss the story today? There might have been more northeast. Yeah. Yes. Weather. Nope. Didn't have any weather, but yeah, it was. North or didn't hit us. I guess that's the point. But yeah, mostly everybody's there primarily for the drag racing, and then the morning DJ host who's gotten pretty notorious over the past 20 years. I mean, I went to the very first one. He's raises a lot of money for charities, but just he's a big car buff. Again, as far as spectators go, there probably be 20,000, 30,000 people that will make their way through to look at stuff. So, that's pretty cool in itself. But the sad thing is where the venue they're having it at Bandimere Speedway, which is been there 65 years. The Mopar Mile High Nationals, you know, a televised race, you know, NHRA race, all that. Now just because everything built up, people have always been complaining about the noise. So even the last 30 years, they've been saying, "Oh, it's going to move." Well, finally, well, shutting it down at this location. Don't know what they're gonna. They'll definitely move. It is because the family. I mean, families, you know, still into racing and all that. They're gonna keep it going. It's just sad. So that's another thing. That's why I'm making the extra effort to be able to show one last time because never be able to do it again. You know, I've raced my car there. I mean, that lots of memories there. You know, either attending events or like participating in them, either racing or showing, and that's partly why I'm doing it. Because it is a lot of effort. Of course, I kind of I have a display with, you know, information about the bikes and stuff, so people can, you know, take a look and see what they're, you know, they can, you know, kind of learn a little bit about it if they haven't seen something like this. Thunder Valley closing, I don't think so. I think it's less of a threat just because where it sits, there won't be ever any development right across from it. But I mean, never say never. I mean, the greeny weenies, you know, you know, can lobby and get their way, I suppose. But no, I think it's fairly safe for the time being, at least. But Vandermeer's the one, and I mean they had to fight. They had to fight the crazies of COVID because they you know, they didn't shut down, and they had like, you know, 10,000 people or something come to an event. You know, people didn't want to didn't want to stay inside. You know, didn't want to believe all that. So, but then, you know, local municipalities and local governments fined them and sued them, and of course they had to fight it, and they won. But you know, exhausted a lot of resources. I mean, just a lot of political nonsense. You know, silly stuff. So, let's do this. It's definitely end of an era. And you know, I mean, I haven't looked up, but I don't know where they will move, if you know, where they can move. I mean, it'd have to be east, but it's a unique venue because it's right on the side of the mountain, or the hogback is what it's called out here, and that's, you know, it's beautiful view over over the whole city. I mean, just all that. Too bad people ruin it, you know. I mean, it's a landmark, what it is. And well, people just, you know, obviously don't care, or well, they just hated it and hated it. They finally they got their way, but you know, they bowed out gracefully, the Vandermeer family. What's charging on this? get to the, and gotta get to shining up the aluminum a little bit. Take a little bit of that. Not really that oxidized from sitting because I keep. Oh hey, casual gamer, I'm glad you're in. You're watching on Twitch. Yeah, this is the other kind of live streaming, and I'm not wearing my lapel mic, so hopefully the audio is okay and not too jarring. I'm just using the camera audio. I kind of did this impromptu, but yeah, this is one of my other hobbies, and shining these up for a big car show that's coming this weekend, car and motorcycle show that garners usually around a couple thousand cars for showing, and then there's drag racing and everything, and then 20 to 30,000 people usually make their way through the gates to come and look at all the cars. So it's a pretty big venue, and it's going to be the last one at this venue. I've been going to this show for 20 years. Either spectating or showing something. So that's that. Those. Yeah, these are some of my vintage bikes. The helper cat's with me. Good. I'm glad the sound isn't too. It's probably a little echoey. You're probably hearing me walk around on the garage floor, guessing. But and I could have used my lapel mic to alleviate that. All right. Could have done this earlier, but. Do that. I don't know. Have to. Yeah, I'm like doing what I want. I got some tire black. We might put on this one. This bike here, I'm trying to keep sort of, showroom fresh. The other, the dirt bike, more, I don't, want it to look. It needs to look a little more used. Or it's okay if it looks a little more used. Dirt bike. And it's got some modifications and things, so that's kind of deal. I'm gonna hold off on that. Let's do it. Back to black on this. Let's use some paper towel on this. And also streaming out here using my what I call my junkyard PC, and hopefully looks like the bit rate and everything's working good. I was a little skeptical because it's getting pretty outdated, and it's working hard. It's working hard to do what it's doing here. I don't know if it's dropping frames or not. Actually, I'll check here. Well, it doesn't say it has. yeah, hopefully the frame rate, bit rate, and everything's sort of keeping up um, on from the viewers end. I guess let me know if is it looking choppy or how's the how's it looking, I guess. And let me know. There we go. That black part's back to. Okay, good. I'm glad it's looking good. Actually, when I very first started live streaming, well, actually, yeah, I've had this PC since I started live streaming, and these were these type of videos, either working on something, repairing something, or were my first live streams, and using the very same computer here. So yeah, I've had this, well, about almost 10 years then, and this PC, uh, it's a old Dell Optiplex, is you know was used, so it's older than that. Of course, I bought some used hardware back in 2014, so it's got a graphics card in it, and an old one from around that time, about a 2014-ish thing. Uh, forget. Well, actually, I have upgraded. I'll show you the one only because I got some folks in there that know what I'm talking about. So, there you go, right there. If it focuses. This was the first graphics card that I had in there. It's an ATI, so this is before AMD Radeon HD 6670, and this one is a 1 GB card or VRAM card there. So, and let's see, yeah, 1 GB could have been a 512, could have been a 2 GB, and it did have HDMI, but I use DVI and VGA. Oh, I've just realized that I didn't change my little crawling tag. It says "Stay tuned for gamer trivia." Chris will know what that's from. I just finally looked at the preview and I'm kind of laughing. Um, but there's that, and then now it has a either a GTX or a GT. I don't remember now. 750. So whatever generation that is. That tells you how old. So I guess all these people kind of thinking about it. There's all these people that are like, oh, I gotta have, you know, gotta have a 49, a RDX 49 game or to do anything, and it's like, of course, most of the encoding is being done on the CPU here, and that is one thing about this CPU in here. It is a second gen Core i9, which, if you don't know anything, it's an actual, like, well, sort of. I mean, it's a workstation PC, an old workstation PC, but it's a uh, enterprise level or grade, I guess I call it, CPU. So that kind of helps you determine. That's probably why it still kind of can do the work, but it's just a stock cooler and all that. It's nothing fancy. I don't think, though. Of course, It would. I didn't. I haven't tried it, but I was gonna maybe try it. It might if it can run farming simulator. I have a feeling it probably actually it might. The CPU probably would. It's just that the graphics card has the it had the appropriate drivers, I suppose. But it's kind of been hacked together with different different power supply, not modular, but the factory. Again, the factory board in here is kind of a weird, OEM board, and so was the power supply. So it wasn't, it wasn't just for the graphics card. Well, it didn't have any graphics power, so I got I don't know, like a $10. I think it was like a $10 power supply. Well, no, wait a minute. No, I took the power supply out of my old editing rig. That's what I did. And then I had to take the Dremel tool. I had to take my Dremel tool and hack up the inside of the case to fit the power supply. That's right. Oh, let's see. Here. So, yeah. It works all right so far. I mean, eventually I'm going to have to do something. I might actually have to spend a small amount of money on a rig for out here, because this one, gosh, I probably have less than $100 in it. That's literally because I got the PC for free, and then I had just because I bought more. I think I bought some. It's got DDR3 RAM. Bought some used kits on used kit on eBay to bring it up to. I think I got 8 gigabyte in there. I think that's what the max the motherboard supports. But yeah, so kind of it's deal. All right. Any rubber parts on the bike. I'll hit them up with that. Shine as best I can. Protection, because they are, like, for example, like this piece here. This is kind of a rare rubber piece. Those are hard to come by. That's 50 something. This is 1970, so that's 50 something years old. All right. That's here. This is where it gets to my fingers a little bit. Let's see. This Eagle One never dull. This is the stuff I like for now the polish stuff in the rear. Which honestly, it's in stayed pretty nice because I kept some protecting on them. Anytime I get it out and do something, I run some of this on it. It's pretty shiny. This bike, yeah, that's the thing people might not know. This bike I bought for $50 back in 1996. Bought it. Chris knows where this is. Bought it out of Lewis Power Sports. Their back lot. The engine was stuck, and The tank was beat in. I mean, it was rough. But for $50, I bought it out of their back lot. It was a customer bike that's they brought in and have fixed, and they didn't they didn't they didn't show back up to pick it up, so they had it in their inventory for a long time. And about that, and a couple of Kawasaki triples of similar vintage out of there. Paid more for those, but only paid. I have a bill of sale. Actually, that's all up on my website. And triples, I believe, paid $200 for those. That's been $50, but it was basically complete. Of course, I got a whole video series all about it. So, if you're watching this later and you want to know more, hit up my website. Links in the description, on the channel page. It's all over. These are aluminum rims, where the dirt bike actually has steel rims. That's another thing. These original aluminum rims were they were lightweight, but they weren't very strong. Just the metallurgy construction of them, they weren't as up to standards like they have like today. So way back in the day, magazines or people went or reported that they could crack or could crack. Probably if you were really riding rough terrain, hitting rocks and stuff. But also they have and I've seen these on like Yamaha or a variation of this style rim on other Japanese bikes. It's not uniquely a Kawasaki thing, but they have like a lip or a groove on the inside. So what I'm cleaning up here, there's a groove on the inside, which on the inside of the bead. And this ring is, the way it is for strength. Problem is it traps mud and debris and then makes the wheel heavier, and it stays stuck on there so it doesn't flip off. So like, especially a lot of guys were converting these like this one, but to that year bike, converting it for racing, go desert racing or something, or trying to do that, because that's kind of how Kawasaki advertised it. It's a dual bike. It could be converted. There's a lot of neat features on it, which I go through in one of my videos. I might actually make an addendum to that video. But the thing is, though, is that was one of that and the fragile fenders, which that's why most people went to a plastic fender if they're going to get serious about racing. But the rims just weren't quite up to the task for heavy off-road riding. That's kind of where it is. That's why the bike is actually, desirable, collectible, whatever you want to call it, primarily because it was an ambitious bike that kind of missed the mark. I mean, it did a lot of things, but didn't do it tried to be too many things, and it didn't do any one of them real great, other than probably, you know, uh, being a really good trail bike, or take off fire roads and all that stuff. It's definitely was a good bike for that. Not hill climbing, but it could handle a lot of the steep stuff. And again, this is 350 cc's, and at the time, this and Yamaha had a competing bike, the RT360. Those were, for especially Japanese bikes, and even some of the Europeans that were enduros. That was considered a big bore, pretty big bike, big cylinder, especially for a single cylinder, because most bikes, sweet spot was kind of the back in the day, kind of a 175 or really a 250, So that was kind of the thing. Is it was a big bore bike, and that's what sold it, because at the time, all people kind of were initially thinking about it, like, well, bigger is better, bigger, more power, get me faster up the hills, down the road, all that. I mean, sure worked in the street bikes but the handling wasn't there. The other performance wasn't there. So, kind of, again, the whole motorcycle market was maturing very quickly. So, just people quickly learned that just a big engine isn't everything, without handling and all this other stuff. Plus, again, like I said, metallurgy wasn't quite there yet. So, like, all this, the bike was a little bit heavy, even for its day. But even the quote good bikes were still kind of heavy, or if they were light, then they were kind of fragile, like Ian bikes, sort of. But it all depended on the model. I mean, some were better than others. I mean, that's the thing. It's hard to make a blanket statement about any of these, because some of them were really, really good, but then there were some real stinkers. And this fell somewhere in between. But I mean, the height, the marketing, size, the adjustability, all that kind of stuff, sort of, people initially gravitated to it because it's like, oh, hey, it's a bike that can do a little bit of everything, and I could customize it to your liking and all that. Okay. Basic power. All I'm gonna probably go over with that, because these are painted side cases. Those don't need polishing. That's the thing. The unique thing about this bike versus that one is different things like that. There's subtle differences in the design. This was a pretty early. Well, this was an early build, and they made changes as they went on the first years. So there were some mid-year changes that this bike doesn't have, which makes it even a little bit more unique or desirable, I guess you could say, versus the later ones. Let's see. Okay. Kind of got to wait. Polish, you kind of, a little bit like traditional wax, you kind of wait for it to haze a little bit, and then we'll take the towel and go over it, and that'll take that rest of that haze off, and the rest of the oxidation. That's still good. Let's try this. This is more stuff that kind of revitalizes rubber parts. So let's give that a try here. the little, kind of like a shoe polish, but the applicator busted. And maybe need to just order some. Yeah, the applicator's busted. Well, I remember. All right. Maybe put a little bit of the tire lid on. That's almost only use this stuff purely for show because it don't last very. Even though these are new modern tires, they're I guess you could say they're kind of a replica of what would have come on. Not the right brand. The actual brand that would have came factory with these doesn't make this type of tire anymore. And actually, the brand that I would normally want to put on this, it was a little more correct, especially as a replacement tire of the era later. They're not in business or don't make tires anymore. The company's Chen Sheng, and I want to think the brand that I have on this is probably the one that bought them out or bought the molds. Yes. I'm not going to put the tire block on the dirt bike because it's a dirt bike. Plus, actually, those, and they're still soft, but and again, don't really, I don't ride it competitively or anything. Those are actually vintage tires that are on it. The rear one's a Yokohama, which Yokohama doesn't even make motorcycle tires anymore that I'm aware of, or not, especially not dirt bike tires. And then the front is a Carlisle, I believe, and they don't most motorcycle tires either. So that's why I keep them. I'm not gonna put it on for show because it kind of would look goofy, but I do try to keep them fortified with like this kind of stuff just to keep them up, keep them out of the sun. That's the biggest thing. Because I like it because they're period correct tires, and that's the other thing with this bike is it's got a lot of period correct aftermarket parts. That's sort of the other, I should say, unique thing about it. Pull back. That's sort of why I have it, is it's kind of show rideable showpiece of, hey, this was what, if you were an amateur motocrosser, you would have, this is a bike you would have bought to and modified with modifications like this, and this would be this is what you would this is the kind of bike we try to put together to be, be somewhat competitive. But truth be told, if you wanted to really be the hot shot or the guy or whatever, you were going to do it on a European bike in these days. This would have been kind of this would be more like an amateur's hop up, kind of deal. Hop up on a budget. Because the bike, when it was new, was $895. Okay. And then things like pipe and stuff, that would have been about $80. And those dollars. $80. Fenders would have been like 10 a piece or something like that. For like $150 to $200, you could get something, call it maybe $300 all in with everything. Of course, that's got some internal engine mods. You have a reasonably competitive bike, whereas, the European stuff, the hot bikes at the time that were the bike to have, be competitive in, started at like $1,200 to $1,300. So that was kind of the idea. $895 here, and the lights and stuff came off. They a lot of the parts that are on this, they sold as a kit from the factory to increase the power. Or some of this is other non-Kawasaki aftermarket parts. I know you can't quite see it, the shocks. Actually, while I'm waiting here, I guess. And I don't know who's watching, but somebody might watch it later. Well, let's just talk about it. I should go over this bike again. But for example, like the shock is ordered. These are an aftermarket company by Interpart. And Interpart. These are Mulholland shocks that had an aftermarket shock that was pretty decent. Their big thing is they were rebuildable. You could get different internals, so you could customize them, and they were inexpensive. I want to say these pair of shocks, the retail price was like $29.95 per pair. I have some, it's all on my website. I have magazine ads and such that tell more about it and all the information about like those shocks. But then like the pipe on here is made by Bassani, which they're actually still in business, but they don't make two-stroke motorcycle stuff. It's just street bike, Harley. Not just Harley, but cruiser stuff, pipes and that kind of stuff. But it was better than the factory muffler, which really wasn't really tuned for the motor. This was more tuned for the motor, and then the other thing is it was increased horsepower, tuned to the motor, but didn't increase the noise. It was still really quiet, and then had a spark, because that was, even back then, was a big deal. Noise pollution, all that, shutting down riding areas, so things like that haven't changed. Issues and challenges like that still a thing even back in the early days. So it doesn't seem like it's oxidation, but get some gook off there. And sorry, you're not going to see it on camera, but it literally does fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll do forks. All right. this back right here. Be about done here. Then when I get to the show, I got give it a little wipe down for the dust. Always makes it look a lot nicer. A lot of hard work to this bike's. I like it when I can get her shined up and show it. I like to show it that way. Get people interested in old bikes too. That's not it. I suppose I think might be well. Let's need to roll it back. Part of the on this. Yeah. There. All right. Well, that's pretty good. Those. Yeah. No. Old cable operated brakes. Yeah. Well, I can't start it, but and in here I fog it up in about 10, 20 seconds. But I don't know. Pretty good. Like I said, I haven't shown it in a couple of years, so kind of excited to get it out there again. Got another show that I'm thinking, but I won't. I'll just tease that. I guess we might talk about because I ain't quite sure. Sure if I'm going to be able to make it. I sure want to go to it, but I'll probably live stream that before that time. So I guess that's about it. I guess I got to get off the bike to go shut the stream off, but appreciate whoever was in and watching, and like and subscribe, because I hope to do some more live streams, maybe talking about this. I want to make some videos, some updated videos about these bikes. It's been, I did the restoration back in 2010, first released videos on the internet shortly thereafter, and so it's kind of been a while, and again, I worked on other projects, and always got so many other things going on. So I suppose I will catch you guys in the next live stream, next video, whether I'm farm simming or doing something like this. So see ya.